Today we're checking out the top 3 coolest character concepts that should be added to Identity V. Now, I should probably say before the video starts, obviously I don't think these characters should be just cut and pasted into the game. I think they all could use some reworks or some working around and some balancing, but I think all of these character concepts would be really cool for the respective characters that they're being proposed for. Also, yeah, the gameplay footage is my own. My iPad decided it didn't want to record anymore, so yeah, it's ripped from myself. Don't get mad. Anyways, let's get into the video. Okay, so this hunter is called the Manhur's Daughter, and this is obviously a concept. There's even some nice concept art to go along with it, which I will put up on screen here. I'm going to summarize the skills of this one just a little bit, so if you're interested, credit will obviously be in the description, labeled. Go check it out. This is a really cool concept. But basically, all you need to know is that this character, when they hit with a basic attack, they do only 0.25 damage, but they also have an external trait called Candle Fire, so when a survivor is hit, they'll catch fire, and they will be dealt with an additional 0.25 damage over the period of 10 seconds. This effect can be stacked twice, and survivors on fire, so survivors with the Candle Fire effect on them, can't heal, decode, jump windows, or throw pallets. So they basically just can't interact with pretty much everything, making this a very dangerous hunter with the blink. Okay, so her first ability is called A Letter from Afar, and you unlock this at 0 presence. So she will write a letter to a survivor, and there are 3 different letters that she can choose from. It takes 5 seconds for her to write a letter. She can obviously still move during this time, but she can't attack. Kind of like Postman when he's choosing a letter. He can't vault things, but he can still kind of move around. It'll take a minimum of 10 seconds for the letter to reach a survivor. If the survivor is within 100 meters of the hunter, when she sends the letter, it will take 1 second less for every 10 meters the survivor is closer. And this has a cooldown of 20 seconds. So basically, I think what it's trying to say here is, it will take 10 seconds if the survivor that you're sending the letter to is more than 100 meters away from you, or more than 100 meters away from where the hunter is at that moment. If you're within 100 meters, it will take 9 seconds. If you're within 90 meters, it will take 8 seconds. If you're within 80 meters, it will take like 7 seconds, along those lines. Next, we have the different letters she can send. So she can send you a guilt letter, which reduces your speed by 10% for 30 seconds. We have the greed letter, which reduces your decoding speed by 20% and scope of success by 15% for 20 seconds. Failure letter, which is vaulting and pallet dropping speed, is reduced by 20% for 20 seconds. And her next ability she gains at full presence. And basically, this is just a buff to all of her letters. So the guilt letter will now reduce by 20% for 40 seconds. The greed letter will reduce decoding by 30% and scope of success by 20% for 30 seconds. And the failure letter will decrease vaulting and pallet dropping speed is reduced by 30% for 30 seconds. And then she has yet one more ability, and this is gained at only half presence, so this is gained before the letter buffs, but it just made sense to lay the letters out all together. So what she can actually do is leave a special letter at a cipher, and when a survivor tries to decode to this cipher, they will get a scent on them from the letter, causing crows to appear above them for a time, for the time they have the scent on them, which is like 20 seconds, I believe. The amount of ciphers that can be marked is 2, and the letters have a cooldown of 10 seconds. If you try to mark a third, well, you can't mark a third cipher if you have 2 marked. You have to wait for one of the ciphers or the for 60 seconds for a cipher to be unmarked, and then or touched by a survivor, and then you can mark another survivor, and the scent can be removed within 7 seconds. This is actually a really cool concept. It's kind of like if Postman was a hunter. I don't think it would be really strong, but with a little bit of tweaking to the gameplay, it would definitely be very interesting. Alright, next up we have a really cool, if not slightly broken, concept idea for a survivor called the Train Operator. So basically, the Train Operator carries around blueprints in which he is able to form railroads onto the field. Tap the ability button and you will see your surrounding area from a high perspective. It is similar to Mad Eye's console perspective. He is then able to form the railroad by tracing a line on the screen. The line can go in different directions, unlike Mad Eye's, who can only put one in a single direction. Placing railroads requires energy, in which he can keep up to 100 and regenerate 1 per second. There can only be one set of railroads at a time, and putting another one will cause the old railroad to obliterate, and there will be a 45 second cooldown after placing a railroad. Traveling Cart is the ability that also goes with this, and when a railroad is placed on the field, there will be a cart in which a single survivor can occupy and ride it. The cart can also protect survivors from any incoming damage once, but it will be broken and forces survivors to leave the cart. When a hunter gets hit by the cart in motion, they will get stunned for 5 seconds, and after a survivor rides in the cart, they will be unable to ride the cart again for 30 more seconds. Okay, and then we got a couple of just some other traits for we got some other traits for the survivors as well. So we got Machine Master. Excels at operating other machines. When he completes a calibration, there will be 2% progress added to the cipher, or 4% when achieving a perfect calibration. Depression. Being desperate isn't always a bad thing. When the exit gate is opened and you are within 3 meters of it, you will have Tide Turner for 4 seconds. And Fragile. Only relies on machines which cause him to have a weak body. Vaulting speed and pallet dropping speed is decreased by 10%. I really like this concept. I think it could be done a little bit differently, and it might be a little bit broken, but honestly, in this video, this is my favorite one, so definitely be sure to go check out the original Reddit post. Okay, so this last one here is a hunter concept called the Doll Maker. Unfortunately, there isn't any concept art for it, but it's still cool, so I wanted to include it in this video. So, the Doll Maker has a skill called Curse Dolls, and these can be placed down, and they run in a straight line at great speeds. Once it reaches a wall, it will bounce off into another direction. It has a very far range. Once it bites a survivor, they will be shown the location will be revealed, and they will be slowed down by 50% for 5 seconds. So it's a really big, basically just a really big slowdown. And then there's some information here about how this skill will work, but I'm not going to explain that because it's kind of convoluted. So at 1000 presence, or half presence, the Doll Maker can teleport to a doll location, but will suffer a short stun after doing so, and the cooldown to this is 20 seconds. And at max presence, or 2500 presence, the dolls will bite survivors harder, and they will do damage of a normal attack when they bite survivors. This basically is saying that the Doll Maker can send all 3 of his dolls out at once, like all of them, and it will do basically the damage of the same as a normal attack. And the cooldown to doing that is 30 seconds. Definitely an interesting concept. It would actually probably fit very well into the game if it was just fleshed out a little bit more, because right now it's a little bit bare bones, but definitely interesting, and I think maybe worth fleshing out a bit if anybody is watching and interested.